Welcome to the Loco Experience Podcast. I'm here today with Wade Keith, and Wade is the brand manager and partner at Thru Car Wash.
Thanks for having me, Kurt.
Thanks for
Appreciate
being
it.
here, Wade. So let's start with those boots, actually. Durango Boots is not a sponsor of this show, but you were going to give them a ringing endorsement for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had so many different pairs of boots over the years, but every single one of them hurt. So I finally found a pair where I can wear them all day. I literally live in these things.
They got tread on the bottom, too. They got like a rubber sole, so it's like different than a lot of cowboy boots are kind of smooth sole, almost replaceable. Are those not replaceable?
Oh, I'm not real sure,
Haven't
but
worn them out yet.
yeah, I think that's why they're so comfortable is because of the bottom of this. I mean, all the other boots that I've had are just they're hard and they hurt, but
Yeah.
these work. These work. These are good. I will always buy these forever and always.
Okay, well, I dig it. Plus, you get a nice little like 1.25 inch lift there.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to get taller every day. Yeah.
So, I guess let's just start with the basic question: what does a brand manager do? I don't think I know that many brand managers.
Oh man. Well, this is so funny because we had this conversation earlier today. Like a brand manager that I know, and I think about my buddy Chris Cox here in town. He's one of my best friends. It,
Okay.
it sounds like you may
He's been
know
on
him.
the podcast actually.
Oh, has he?
I believe the CBD store. And
No.
also
This
the
is a different guy.
Buzzsprouts?
This is the
Okay.
guy that's the singer in our band. But,
Okay.
he's a real good friend of mine, and he's like a traditional brand manager. So like when somebody starts a business, they have to build out the brand first of all. So I've taken a lot of notes from him, but I kind of think of a brand manager more of his role. So he puts together all the graphics, builds out the brand standards guides.
Yeah.
This is the fonts. This is what it's supposed to look like. The colors.
Yep. We've done a little bit of that with Loco. Over
Yeah,
the years.
yeah, and you've got very good branding. I love your logos. It's props to you guys. And I think of a brand manager more of that, and in his, the role he does. I mean, I'm always bouncing ideas off of him, but builds out the brand, what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to feel like, strategy behind it. That's kind of like your traditional brand manager,
Yeah.
and then those types of brand managers turn that over to marketing and advertising. So they give the
Right.
assets to somebody else, and then they
Communicate
do the
that out, kinda.
advertising,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But in like my role, I'm kind of responsible for all of it. I'm responsible for, coming up with.
Is that your logo?
Yeah,
on your
yeah,
shirt right
and and this is something that was developed before me. My role now is I just kind of every couple of years I enhance it a little bit. But we build out the brand, what it's supposed to look like, how consistent it's supposed to be. But in my role, we're also responsible for the advertising piece of it as well.
Okay.
So it really kind of depends on you who you ask. But in my mind, like a brand manager is more builds out the brands for other people and then turns turns that over to somebody to do advertising. We kind of do a combo package.
Okay. Okay.
In my role,
Well, and
specifically.
I know that you're also pretty involved with the team and internal comms and things like that as well. So that sounds more an expansion still on the brand. Is that part of completing the brand?
Well, I think it's unique to like small business, right? Right. I mean, in small business, you have to wear multiple different hats, for a while. And so I do the advertising, the community involvement. Our department's also responsible for the back end of the membership program that we offer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also on the leadership team as well, and we develop a lot of strategy and planning and that sort of thing.
Let's set the stage a little bit with Thru Car Wash because it's become like over the last 15-ish years, maybe less than that, but has really grown a lot to become kind of the dominant, like the only regional brand, I would say, in a lot of ways in the car wash industry in Northern Colorado and maybe beyond.
Yeah, we're in Cheyenne
Okay.
as well as here. We have we're going to be expanding.
Okay.
Can't let everything out the bag yet until the building's built, but we will be expanding. But it's been a good deal for me. Never in my life did I think I'd be working in the car wash industry.
Did you say
Yeah.
that a lot when you like first got going and stuff?
That is the theme song of the industry. It's kind of like playing Sweet Home Alabama when you're from Alabama. It's like you play it so much. So when you go to the car wash
You
stuff,
almost
it's
don't hear it.
yeah. But something that's unique about the car wash industry, and I've heard this a lot over the years, is like you don't find the car wash industry; the car wash industry finds you,
Okay.
and that's exactly what happened to me when I moved out here. I was a raft guide, Canyon City,
Okay.
on the Arkansas
Yeah.
River.
Yep.
Met my wife. I was like, "Wow, you're cool." And she
I
was,
wish I made enough money to keep you.
yeah. I mean, she had a good stable job, and I'm sitting here just scrounging. I was living the dirtbag raft guide
Right.
life. I was voluntarily homeless for like 7 months, living out of the back of my truck.
And
And that's
then what in the skiing in the off season from
I
rafting?
no, I didn't do that piece.
Okay.
I didn't do that piece. I went back home, but I met her, and she was moving to Fort Collins. I never even heard of Fort Collins. All the other raft guides were talking about Fort Collins this, Fort Collins that, so I had to check it out. Helped her move up here at the end of the season. Fell in love with her. Fell in love with the area, and then I'd already graduated college, and so I got a job at Enterprise Rent a Car, and I worked there for a while,
Okay.
and and then I moved another local brewery in town and that kind of stuff. But because I was working there, they were building a car wash down the street, and developed a relationship with the majority owners at that time.
Oh,
And they had always been wanting me to come work for them, and I was always like, I don't want to work at
they
a
just
car
thought
wash.
you were a charming guy,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
tending bar at the brewery or whatever. What were you doing for the brewery?
I
Or
was working.
public facing.
Yeah, I was working in the tap room. I
Right.
had I was kind of done with Enterprise. Worked over at Odell Brewery. Which,
Okay.
Yep. And worked over there in the tap room for a while. And he came knocking, and said, "We want you to come work for us." And I said, "Okay, I'll come work at a car wash." And it's been
Like
just
why? Because they were offering you more money than working at or just upward advancement opportunity.
yeah, more of
Being
that.
wanted.
Yeah, being wanted. I actually was like, yeah, I'll try this out,
Yeah.
see what's happening, and so I did. And
And did you have a marketing degree or?
I did have a marketing degree.
Okay,
And
okay.
what's interesting about that is, like, I got it a long time ago, and I mean it, and I
Then you
didn't use my
raft-guided for 10
yeah
years.
yeah. I mean, I did all these other things where I didn't do anything with marketing or advertising. And it's funny, like, all the stuff you see today was not even developed when I had my
Sure.
marketing degree. So I mean, I kind of had to relearn how to do all that stuff. So I spent about 2 years really hammering home, relearning how to do advertising.
And when was this?
marketing.
Can you circle me?
Oh, geez. Let's see, 2000. 15 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's ish 2010.
Yeah. There you go. Ish. Yeah.
Fair enough.
2010.
Okay.
But I mean, I started off in the car wash. I was just directing people in, being a customer service attendant, and
Okay.
then one of the majority owners decided to retire, and I was like, hey, I have a degree, and I'm also a pretty creative guy,
Yeah.
and that's when I moved into that
And
position.
did you buy in right away? Like they let you?
Not right away.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
We like to promote from within and then be established before that.
And how
offer
big
comes
was
to
the
table.
company at this time?
About 4 locations.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
that
now-
was ground level.
Yeah, we're at 15 now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were those 4 locations? Do you remember?
Our I always say 2 flagships, but the one on Mulberry here in
Sure.
Fort Collins.
That's one I only go to.
Yeah. I mean, it's right down the street from here.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, Del Range. We had one in Longmont. Still do. It's
Oh,
on
wow.
Ken Pratt.
Okay.
And then our Greeley location.
Oh, so you had like a big wide spread and then started filling in to be more kind of between those spots from there.
Yeah. We like to offer the additional value of having locations close to one another, so you can use your pass at any of the locations. It's a pretty good benefit that we offer.
Yeah, for sure. I should actually do a breeze through tour sometime and just go see how is the flagship still the flagship, or are there some nicer ones now?
I mean, Mulberry's always going to be it. That was the first one. Our second one came not too long after that in Del Range and Cheyenne. But I'd love to give you a tour. We had the Fort Collins Running Club come out the other day because we're a sponsor of the Horsetooth Half Marathon.
Yeah.
We did a practice run, and one of the guys, Chris, was there. He was really into seeing the back end of everything. So I gave him a tour of the site, and he was really interested in the equipment, that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it was pretty cool, man. He was
Maybe he's got a
really
future in
excited
the car
about
wash
it.
business too.
Yeah, he might even be looking at it right now. But yeah, we gave him a tour, and he loved it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really an interesting benefit. Like, and it's a funny thing because it's part of like obviously I'm a shopper of convenience, and so if another car wash moved even closer from my office to breeze through, I would consider it, but that's about the only thing I would consider. But I do find value in the fact that you're a regional brand and I can go to any of those breeze throughs and I never ever do it.
Well, yeah.
What is your, do you have data on that? Like when people, do you track that at all?
Like, did we
Do you
track
know when
who?
somebody that usually goes to Mulberry goes to Harmony or to Longmont and gets their car washed?
We do track it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do track it. We see some statistics. It says this is your home site,
Yeah.
and these are the other sites that you visit.
Some people are probably all over. They're like real estate agents in the region and they just go to the breeze through whenever they see one almost. So they always got a fresh car.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I always think about a persona of like a real estate agent who their reflection of their own personal brand is the way that their car looks.
Totally. They're putting people in
Right.
their car all the time.
Or you think about Uber or Lyft. We were just talking about it a minute ago. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, your
Oh, for sure.
your reflection of your
You
brand.
should charge those guys more and me less because
Yeah.
I'm like a once every 10 days to 2 weeks if
Yeah,
I remember.
you said it, not me. Well, you know, it was interesting. Some car wash companies don't allow ride shares to be a part of their program.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably do now because the car wash industry's become so competitive. People are building all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a lot of out-of-state competition coming in right
Oh,
now
is that
too.
right? Interesting.
And it's
Like big corporates? Like,
yeah. A lot of places out of Arizona and Texas and
Well, my favorite stories are of the local brand beating off the big corporates when they try to come in. I just had Zach George on, and Valley Crest has tried to come in a few times, which is a big national. But between Lindgren and Zach, they're kind of just too strong. They haven't had enough market share.
well, there's a pretty good benefit of being the local guy. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, for instance, you and I were at the Realities for Children event Saturday night.
Totally.
And then I think
I met you at the Rotary Club, I believe.
right, and then
Which you should come again, by the
Yeah,
way. I
yeah.
thought you were going to come on board,
yeah,
maybe.
shoot me an invite.
Yeah, we should.
But it was funny. I mean, there was, I think last summer, there was like 2 weeks there where we saw each other like
We
4
did have a
times
stretch.
in 2 weeks. And I looked at you and I said, should we just start carpooling all this stuff
Right.
together? And it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
the town gets smaller and smaller as you live here more and more years.
yeah, and you're not gonna, if you got some out-of-state competitors coming in, they're not gonna care about the communities the way we do.
Oh, 100%. I turned into an anti-Amazon guy.
Yeah.
During COVID Nation, actually, when I bought a Blackstone grill at Manweiler's Hardware. $199 for an 18-inch griddle and an 18-inch grill with a pot boiler that you can, take that off. I was like, that's sweet. Like, I should buy that. So I looked at the reviews, and of course, Amazon pops up. $299 for the same thing.
Yeah.
And like Manweiler's is probably paying $130 for that thing and selling it to me for $199 and donating to the football team in Windsor. And meanwhile, Amazon's paying $64 from the manufacturer direct, probably, and selling it for $300.
Yeah.
You sons of bitches.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you any more money.
And I like the same thing. I like to support the local businesses. I mean, because people support us, and it helps bring up the community instead of buying something somewhere else and having it shipped to you. I mean, sometimes you have to do that.
Sure.
But when I can,
there's times I have either my wife or Alma here at Loco buy me something from Amazon that I can't really get easily otherwise. But personally, I still never buy anything from them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
But you can still come on the podcast if you want. Maybe
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
convince me.
Yeah, invite me. I want to sit in the back room here and watch you
Right,
guys
it'd be
talk.
pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah.
So pretty small operation at that time, and so when you got promoted to kind of not maybe your current role, but some portion of your current role, was that a few years in?
Yeah, it was a few years in. I think it was probably about 3 years in. We developed our unlimited wash pass program,
Okay.
and I put that together. Not 100% by
Yeah.
myself. We put it together, but a
you led
majority
that
of the
charge,
work.
You were the project manager.
Yeah,
kinda,
yeah.
whatever.
Majority of the work, I did,
Yeah,
and then we flew around the nation. Breeze Through Car Wash is a very established car wash chain
Oh, it is.
in our whole entire industry, and
Oh, I
so
didn't
we.
know that. I thought this was a local brand.
It is a local brand, but I'm just talking about
Oh.
our reputation
Yes.
within the whole industry.
They've been around.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of, and we're really good about building relationships with even our competitors and other people. But we've established relationships all across the nation. So I flew around to a lot of different places, saw how they run their program, and took notes, and we built it out.
Yeah. Nice job of slowly ramping up that monthly membership dues without making it feel too expensive.
Right. Yeah.
It felt really cheap when I first signed up. And
Oh
it's like,
man, yeah, I know, and it's come a long way.
But I'm
It's
sure
like,
costs are up a lot, right? Like labor's up probably 40% since you first started that program.
it is a lot of costs are up. Soap and all kinds of stuff.
And water's going up too, right?
Yep. And
You
I
guys
don't.
get like a special pass, so you recycle a lot of water, right?
Yes.
Spin it back through.
Yeah. So really, and thank you for asking this question. This is something I'm super passionate about.
And I didn't even know the answer, by the way. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
curious guy.
Well, it's interesting the way it works. So the water that goes underneath the conveyor, a lot of that is reclaimed. Like 50% of the water is reclaimed.
Okay.
So on average, it takes about 50 gallons to wash a vehicle. So 25% of it's reclaimed, but the soap and that kind of stuff, that needs to be on fresh water because you can't do the reclaimed water with that.
Gotcha.
And so,
So the reclaimed is more the rinse part, kind of?
not necessarily the rinse, but the high pressure applications.
sure.
Right. You're asking good questions. We need to get you an
I'm a pretty
application
smart
here.
guy.
Yeah. But like when you go through and you see the high pressure that comes on, you got it. You got a guitar in here? We'll bust it out. But like the high pressure applications getting the big stuff off. That's reclaim. But realistically, I was talking to other people about it. Like it's all recycled, right? It all goes down the drain. It goes down to the plant out here near the Environmental Learning Center. It's treated. It's re-released. Goes into Fossil Creek Reservoir. Then it's re-released into the Pooter between Timnath and Windsor.
Right.
Yeah. So
And they drink it in Greeley.
Yeah.
Drinking
There
that
you
car
go.
wash water
Yeah.
in Greeley.
Yeah. So I mean that's pretty cool. I mean it's a better
for
option.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you think about the Colorado River,
Yeah.
like virtually every drop of that has gone through like a few different phases on its way down.
Oh man,
these days.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
just a trickle when it gets to the border.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't even hit the ocean.
Is it not at all anymore?
No,
I knew it was
I mean,
kind of
I know
virtually used up.
I know a couple years ago they released some stuff and it finally went back.
Flush it out a little bit.
But in that crazy, like, think about this, like the Colorado River, man, it goes through all these different states and doesn't even reach the ocean.
Right.
But the water from the Colorado River comes down the Adams Tunnel and fills up like Carter Lake, Horsetooth Reservoir, Boulder Reservoir. So we've got water in this town that is from the Colorado River, and potentially some of that water might even reach the Gulf of America now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean it's not supposed to flow
Yeah,
east,
that's an interesting thing.
but water from the Colorado River
If
does
we get
flow
it
east.
first, we get it first, like everybody else drinks it after it's already been kind of through the thing. But
Yeah.
we get it right out of the tap, just about.
Oh yeah. I'm a big river guy. That's why I moved out here. I was a raft guide, and that's.
Were you a raft guide in Alabama?
Not commercially, but I'll take a raft down all those rivers any day.
All right.
But that's not where I started. I started here, and that's what brought me to Colorado. So
Gotcha. That
Yeah.
desire.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you were like, how old are you?
I am 45.
45. So the internet existed when you were getting out of high school and researching what to do with yourself a little bit and stuff. It really didn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I came out here without the benefit of being able to look up what Fort Collins was like, barely, except for like at the library.
Right.
And so how did you get interested in rafting? Like, it seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I've never been down to the southeast, but it doesn't feel
Like
it feels more like slow rafts down the river than to a cookout.
I love the fact that you just busted out the air banjo. That is so awesome. And you were in tune too. Good job. Yeah. For me, it was Okay, so this is what I always joke about, right?
We could talk a lot more about Alabama. We will. But
Oh yeah. I could chat about it all day. I always joke that my name's Wade. Wade
got the
for
double
a reason,
first name.
right? Yeah, that is total Alabama thing. Wade Keith, right?
Waiting.
Yeah. Wade Keith. It must be an Alabama thing, like Ricky Bobby.
What's your middle name?
My middle name's Wade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My first name's Douglas, but
So you got three first names.
yeah,
Douglas Wade
it's
Keith.
100% an Alabama thing, right? There's all kinds of people running around with two first names, two last names in Alabama, but oh god, this is so funny. But so I always joke that my name's Wade, and I was put on this earth to walk through the water,
Okay.
right?
I
Because
like
that's
it.
what wading
Oh, I
is
dig
walking
it,
through
yeah.
the water. I don't know. I've just always been a fan of rivers and lakes. We have a lake house in Alabama, and I've just always been a fan of doing that. And
Yeah.
for me, I've just always kind of had a bit of an extreme part of my personality that I needed to cater
Yeah.
to. I used to rock climb a lot.
Mm.
You probably know this. I had a bad injury years ago where I
Yeah.
had to get my
Yeah.
neck fused. I can't climb anymore. But I really wanted to do it. When I was in college, they had a kayaking class, and I took it, and I went to like 6 sessions, and then on the 6th session at the very end, I finally learned how to roll a kayak up.
Okay.
And then I didn't do it for a while. Originally, I had a job rafting in Tennessee
Okay.
on the Ocoee River, but then I was like, I've been in the South my whole life. Let me go venture out and see what else is out there. So I decided to take a job out here, and that's what brought me out here.
Okay. And those companies are always looking for smart young men that want to be raft guides, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard work, long hours.
It is. It really builds a lot of character. I mean, I was terrified of rafting, but during training, we had to jump out and swim through all the rapids, and doing that 2 months straight every day
Yeah.
for a while really burnt that out of me to be
Yeah,
scared of it.
yeah.
And now, I mean, we do all kinds of stuff. I mean, we have a goal to do a new stretch of river every year. Last year, I got 4 new stretches in.
Oh, cool.
The year before that, it was a couple.
So
of
your
stretches.
injuries don't hamper you in that space.
Um,
They do, but
the
it's doable.
kayaking piece I've had to kind of step back from. When we had small children, I didn't kayak as much because we had to bring kids down the river, and so I kind of traded in a kayak for a fly fishing rod,
Okay.
and now I wade through the water and fly fish a ton. So I got too many hobbies, but anything involving the river is my home.
The title of this podcast is the Loco Experience, and I was just remembering one of my own that I might as well share here. When Jill and I were first dating, I don't think I've shared this on the podcast before.
Uh-oh.
But we went up the Pooter to float down the river, of course, like everybody does. I'm sure you probably have, or
Probably hundreds of
people.
times, yeah.
So, but I didn't. I was broke, and I wanted to be with Jill, my new girlfriend, right? And so I bought like a double raft from Walmart, like for $40 or something. This crappy little plastic thing, instead of just buying us each a $25 inner tube or something, $20 inner tube. And as we're going down the river, it's starting to lose air, and so we're sitting on the edges so that we don't hit our butts on the bottom too bad during the low spots, and then Jill gets booped out like by a big rock, and she's 4'11" and not a strong swimmer, and she was definitely very freaked out, and I like waited for a little bit, jumped out, got into position to catch her, like she's literally tumbling down the river. Somehow I was able to get my footing, and when I jumped out and stuff, and I position myself and I catch her, and she tumbles me off my feet, and we both are bobbing for a while. And like for her, it's really serious. She's frantic. She's like freaking out. And somehow, through probably massive amounts of adrenaline, I was able to catch her and get my footing in like up to my groin water, running really fast. So I can't really I don't know how I did it, but I did. And I caught her, and I got us over to shore, which turned out to be an island, which after she settled down a little bit, we had to cross, but it was only like knee deep. And then I bought some inner tubes for floating down the river, and she got a life jacket.
Yeah.
And she always wears a life jacket anymore.
So you weren't wearing a life jacket?
Neither of us, no.
Yeah. Or were you wearing shoes?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
And we had probably 2 beers each already, 3 maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the good thing is the people who are trained, the raft guys are trained or trained to recognize stuff like that and talk to you about it. But
Totally.
but if I'd have seen
We
you
were
out
with
there,
our
I'd have been
friends.
like, hey, life
just so
jacket,
you know.
shoes. Well, I mean, the river's pretty humbling. I mean, there's.
It totally was.
I've-
I was, a North Dakota kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't have any respect for that level of
Right.
water power.
Yeah, and it's cold too. I mean, this stuff's coming. This is coming straight out of Rocky Mountain National Park. It's not like the stuff in the South where it's pretty warm.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But the rivers
It's
taught me a
dangerous.
lot. Yeah.
Have you had well, you'll have a loco experience later. Maybe that'll be related to your injury.
Yeah, we can talk about that
But
later or
but,
now.
but tell me about maybe while we're talking about rafting. Tell me about like rafting close calls because they probably won't make your.
Okay. I mean, I've had quite a bit. The
And we'll get back to the
yeah,
car wash.
oh
I'm
yeah, yeah,
sure.
you're good, you're good. I mean, you've hit a really soft spot for me here, or not a soft spot, but like something I'm really passionate about. So the closest call or the most exciting, I'm going to say exciting, but it was scary at the time, was when I met my wife.
Okay.
So I met this beautiful woman that it was super smart, very kind, still is, all of those things. And I was like, I am really trying to impress this lady. And so we were at she worked at a different rafting company than me.
Okay.
And so, but I was trying my best. I always try to hang out at that rafting company somehow after work. And so 4th of July, a long time ago, probably 2005 or six. Everybody's down there hanging out, partying. It's 4th of July, and we're
This is down in Canyon City.
Canyon City, yeah. And a truck full of guys pulled up. It's probably about, at this point, it's probably like 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And they're like, we're running the gorge. The Royal Gorge is what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, you guys are crazy. You guys are going to go out like after we've been partying and you're going to go down the gorge. And then I look over and this girl I'm trying to impress is sitting there. She's like, well, yeah, we're going. And I'm like, well, of course I'm going to go, right?
Right.
So I rally my buddy Chad and Mark, still great friends of mine. And I'm like, hey, let's go down the river, man. She's going. And so they said, okay, well, we're going to pick you up because you have to go up this big hill and then you have to dip down to the put in for the gorge. Right?
I imagine, yeah.
Yeah. And so we go up to the top of the hill, we get all of our stuff. We get ready and they come by to pick us up and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Where's the girl? They were like, oh, she's in the other car. And I was like, okay, cool. So we get her stuff and we get down to the put in. When we get down to the put in, I'm looking around. I'm like, where's the girl? Where's the girl? And they're like, oh, she didn't make it. The owner of that company came out and started yelling at him. So she bailed out. And so the whole reason that I'm doing this, that I am pretty intimidated about going is for
Right.
the girl.
You knew it was dumb, but
Yeah, it's for the girl. And she didn't show up. And I was like, well, okay, well, we're going to go down. And so by this time, it's probably 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
okay.
And we're going down the Royal Gorge.
Is there moonlight?
Yeah, I don't
Decent
remember.
light?
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't
Well, it seems
know.
like it'd be dark as heck
Yeah,
otherwise.
and I don't know if you've been down the Royal Gorge, but it's world class whitewater,
I
class
haven't,
4,
no.
class 4s, high water. You know, it could get to class 5. So we're going down, and we get in this rapid called Sledgehammer.
Okay.
Right. I mean, they don't ever give rapids. Nice
Until
names,
somebody
sledgehammers.
Until somebody dies.
Double
it's never
death
the
falls.
sledgehammer.
I mean, there's one
Right.
on the Pooter called Killer Bridge,
Right.
right? You know, it's not death by decapitation. There's another one on the Pooter that's way up. And he was going down, and he goes, oh, there's a rock, and we parked on top of the rock. He goes, oh man, this isn't a good place for us to be. And then we all flipped, and then we ended up floating downstream, and it's in the middle of the night. And I mean, I ended up swimming out.
This is just you and your buddies, or with some other people?
These
too?
are people I didn't even know,
Right.
Because I was going for, to impress the girl.
Right.
Well,
And there's one boat or two?
there's like 4 of us.
Okay.
4 boats.
Okay.
But we flip. I end up swimming out at the very top. Everybody else ended up swimming way down. They couldn't find me for a while, so they thought I'd drowned.
Oh shit!
There was another girl, and it's called recirculation. If they get in a big hole,
Sure.
like you get down, it's like an undertow, and it keeps pulling you back and back.
Yep.
And so this girl got recirculated multiple times. They got her out. She threw up and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it was chaotic. It sucked the contacts out of my eyes. I couldn't see the rest of the trip. But we end up finally getting all of our stuff together. By this time, it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And then we get back in the boat, and we end up we get all the way through the gorge. We take out, and then we end up going home. And then 3 hours later, I had to wake up and do 2 raft trips
Back
the
to
next
back.
morning
Like the
with
half day, the
customers.
afternoon session.
But I mean, it was a great story. My buddies laugh about it. My buddy Chad was with me. He's the drummer that plays with us in our bands, and we still talk about it to this day. And you know what? I impressed the girl enough. She married me. We got 2 kids. We live in Fort Collins. So It worked out.
Yeah, yeah. Was she impressed by it, or did she say like that was dumb?
She had to have been impressed by it because it showed some commitment. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm going to ask her that question tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
wonder. I wonder. You caught her attention anyway.
I sure
Confident about
did.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So
So let's go back to car washes.
sure.
Let's talk about the car wash business a little bit. Like, as one of those customers that only uses it once in a while and stuff, it's like, wow, I get this really nice service, these friendly people waving me to the right place and stuff. But like, what's the dynamic of it? Like, how do you find enough people? How do you choose your pricing? Like, what are the margins? What are the costs a little bit? If you want to talk in big numbers, you don't have to get into the details.
Well, yeah. I
It's,
mean,
it's an interesting business, right? Like,
it's an interesting business. There's a lot of moving parts, right?
yeah,
You've got if you ever get a chance, or if anybody that's listening to this that's interesting, go to the International Car Wash Association trade shows. I mean,
okay,
it's either like the second or third biggest trade show that ever happens in Vegas every
really,
year. Yeah, it's
okay,
huge. You walk in, there's equipment everywhere. I mean, you've got, and I'm not much of the maintenance guy,
yeah.
but
But you kind of know what you're rocking as
yeah,
far
yeah,
as
yeah. I
gear.
mean, you have to
Do
get.
you use the same gear in all your car washes?
We try to. We try to.
Sometimes there's supply chain stuff going on.
Yeah,
Whatever.
and that kind of stuff. We have had to deal with that over the years, but we try to make it consistent among every location,
Yep, yep.
right? Like even right here, our product, a convenient, consistent, friendly car wash experience. So we try to make things as consistent as possible.
Yeah,
So when you go to this one and this one, it's hard to make everything super consistent.
sure.
But you've got the cost of the equipment. You've got
Which is what?
I
Like
mean,
$5 million,
2 million,
2 million.
something like
Okay,
that. Yeah,
for just the equipment, not the building,
right,
but
right.
just the sprayers
I mean,
and the spinners and the pumps and the whatever.
it used to cost 4 million to build them ground up. Now it's
Okay,
eight. Now it's eight.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean,
So a
it's
big capital investment.
yeah, yeah. Um,
I can have a bucket and a sponge, and I could be a car wash.
you
You know, with a
could
hose. But how much would it take me to wash my car at home? How many gallons?
150.
Really?
That's on average what it takes.
Okay.
The amount of water that somebody uses, and that goes straight down the storm drain,
Sure.
right? And if you're ever washing at home, research it, right? Because a lot of people don't wash their car correctly. They use one or two buckets, and then they're just wiping stuff right back into their vehicle.
Okay.
It's good to use a 4 to 6 bucket technique.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're going to do it at home, just research it.
Oh dang.
Research it pretty good, because most people, I don't know the percentage, but if I had to put a percentage on it, like 95% of people don't wash their cars correctly at
Well,
home.
I just wash my motorcycles mostly by hand.
Oh yeah.
But I only use a one bucket method,
Well,
basically. You know,
yeah.
but it's pretty dirty by the end.
Well, you can always hit up that University of YouTube.
But I
and
always
learn
washed the shiny spots first.
Yeah,
So I hit the windshield, the tank, the side covers, the pipes, you know, the stuff that's cleaner and shinier
yeah,
with the fresh soap, and then I get into the brake areas and the
yeah,
wheels and the yucky stuff.
yeah. When you get in the brake areas, that you get the brake dust, and that's
Right.
really gonna, some
Yeah, I
people
would
wipe off
never-
that
I
and then put
never-
it right back on their
Yeah,
clear
I
coat.
never
Yeah.
ever wash the tank after I've washed the wheels.
Yeah, yeah. But the car wash, I mean, there's
So anyway, we can get
yeah,
back to
there's
the
a lot of
industry a little
moving
bit.
points, because you got
So
you've-
big capital investment.
Yeah,
so you got to
you've got the-
replace that stuff every 10 years or something.
Oh, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know we upgraded some of our conveyors to this like flat conveyor, and that was a big investment. It's a little bit better for the customer experience, because you're not going into like a trough,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yep.
instead of it's flat.
Yeah, you don't like drop in.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's the point of sale systems that you have to deal with, and then you have all the equipment, and then you have employees and paying them a good wage.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
right now at this time, we start our employees at $17 an hour, just at the base level.
Okay.
Down in Boulder County, it's a little bit more. It's 18.
Right.
Yeah, but there's all that. Then there's the training and the systems.
Right.
And then the
How
hard
much is
part.
the training?
What's up?
How much training on the front end?
Oh,
Seems likely a lot. Like hours and hours
yes.
before they get to be around people, kind of.
Yeah, and I may be quoting this incorrectly, because the training's not what I oversee.
Sure.
I'm trying not to
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to do
Don't lie to me.
everything. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
get it.
But we do a couple of days of training at our headquarters. Now our headquarters is here in Fort Collins,
Yeah,
but we do
yeah.
a couple of days of training. Then they go out into the field, and then they do field work, and then they come back for some additional training.
Right, right.
But it's nonstop training. You can go through different levels of training,
Mm,
and then it makes you more promotable. But it really is. It's nonstop training,
mm.
and not a lot of people think car wash is, oh, you got to train and do all that much. Yeah, I mean, there's equipment. There's the soft skills that you have to teach the
You do
employees.
the best, honestly. Like your employees, I've hardly ever had a negative interaction with. I don't think I have
Yeah.
had a negative interaction. At least it was like, well, that was an inspiring thumbs up on the,
Right,
you
right.
know.
And that's what we really pride ourselves on.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, you may even see some billboards around the area that say "friendly faces ahead." You know what I mean? Because we know that's a pretty good competitive advantage of ours.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go to a car wash and you see somebody that's directing you in that has a look on their face like they're a serial killer, and you're like, "Wait a minute, I don't know if I trust this." You know what I mean?
Right.
But our employees, we do hire professional and friendly. Is that's our values. So professional.
Take me through some of this. You
Yeah.
said you just freshened up a little bit of the phrase.
Yeah, we switch this up, and we do this probably once every year and a half to 2 years. But our values are professional and friendly. So we define professionalism. Yeah, yeah. But after I define it, you'd be like, yeah, there's like 8. Yeah. So, but we define professional as people who are respectful, responsible, honest, and hardworking.
Okay.
And somebody that's friendly needs to have a smile on their face and a positive attitude. Because sometimes, the whole smile, positive attitude, sometimes the only interaction they have with our employees is nonverbal.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we go into our training and our hiring, what we really do is we look for people that can fit within that and within those parameters. And that's
Yeah.
the people we hire.
I like it. I think that's it's so simple,
Yeah.
right? Like anybody can understand what the expectations are
Yeah.
a little bit. Like we all have an idea about what being responsible is.
Yeah.
So I dig that. I think, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times we get too complicated with value statements and this and that. We're like, here's this big list, do all these things.
Yeah. And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times people define this stuff and it just sits on a wall somewhere.
Sure.
And people never reference it, or they don't build their training and their systems and their advertising plans and that kind of stuff around what they're. To me, this is what we call the quality policy, right? This is what we do, and we need to breathe it, live it, in everything we do. There's a company I worked for one time, and there was some tension from when I hired because they said all this stuff. They said, hey, we're going to hire you, and this is what we represent, and this is what we do. But then when we got into the company, it was completely opposite.
Yeah.
And a catchphrase I use all the time is like, does the inside match the outside? Because
Yeah.
with that company I had, it said, well, the outside said this, but the inside said something different.
Right.
Right. And so for us,
Yeah. Our value is integrity as far as our customers think, but really we'll rip them off every chance we get.
Right. And so for us, it's like, hey, this is what we say we do. Let's make sure that both the customer and the employee experience match what we say we do.
So what's it take to bring that to be? Because it seems like that's kind of your passion to some extent, is to walk the walk that you talk a little bit, and even in your community engagements.
Like, how do you make it, how do you fulfill it?
To me, that seems, so I guess just by way of relevance, like with Local Think Tank, we got really nice, inspiring mission, vision, values. They're fairly simple, easy to explain. And aside from like telling them, I feel like I do a really poor job of like giving examples of living them and kind of being real about that. Or like how do you, like, what's the effort level necessary to actually put that into action?
I'm smiling because, Kurt, you're asking some good questions that I'm passionate about. So thank you for that. Employee experience, right?
Yeah.
You survey them, right? One, you want to map out the employee's experience,
Mm.
right? So you say, hey, I'm bringing an employee in, right? So before you bring him in, it's like, what kind of advertisement do we have that's bringing him in? What does it say? What are the words that we use?
Sure. Can we get some people to self-eliminate so we don't got to interview
Right.
so many damn people?
And then two, what's the first thing that happens when you bring an employee in? You bring him into orientation,
Yep.
right? So it's important in orientation that you mention the things that are the most important, and you use the same verbiage that they saw in the advertisement, and you use examples of how they do that, right? I think about, have you ever heard somebody say, hey, when I was brought into the company, we did things this way, and now we do them a different way, and stuff like that, right? Like if you bring them in and on day one, like let's say if like sales or something like that, I'm just using an example,
Sure.
is super important to you. Well, on day one, you need to be talking about it, right? So for us, like customer service,
Professionalism.
is a huge
Smiles.
thing. Yeah, professionalism, right? We're using that verbiage and we're using examples of how to do that. So we kind of keep nurturing that because in orientation is when you're going to remember. That's the stuff you
Yeah.
remember the most, right?
Yep.
This is the most important stuff that I have to remember throughout my whole entire employment. So as long as you're hitting on these things and you're at orientation, right? When they got onboarded, that's how you kind of keep reiterating it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, I mean, if you look at your employee experience, it would be mapped out different from ours and then any of these businesses, right?
Well,
there.
yeah. Well, I was just thinking my employer experience is so much different too. Like,
Yeah.
How many employees do you have in your 15 locations?
200, around 250.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've got Ava out here running the podcast. She's been with me since August, and
Sure.
Alma's been here for 4 years, and so I haven't had to kind of develop that systematic. But I can see how, like, even with different roles that I hire, like affirming what's the most important thing for your spot.
Yeah, right up front. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, and
I dig that.
it goes through different stages, right? You've got here's the hiring phase, here's the orientation phase, here's the middle employment stage, or the when you're in the field stage,
Yep,
middle
yep.
employment, kind of towards the end of the employment. The exit interviews, and then what happens afterwards, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
a Zen moment for us is when we have an employee that worked for us for a long time. They move on to a different business, and they can always come back and say, hey, I developed my chops at Breeze Through
Yeah,
Car
yeah,
Wash.
yeah, yeah.
That is a super win for us.
Well, because not everybody can graduate to be part of the management team
right,
eventually or whatever. Like you might not grow that fast.
Yeah.
You might not have room nor need.
Yeah, and
But-
some people may want to just wipe down cars for 5-6 years and then be done. You know what I mean? So
What is your average kind of duration of employee? Do you know that kind of numbers?
Oh.
That's more in the HR.
it's more on
span.
the HR. I mean,
But it's not super fast turnover. It feels like when I go through the car wash, because I do every month at least twice to make sure
Yeah.
you're not making too much money on me.
yeah. You see the same employees.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like again, I try to dip my head in all the different departments and understand it, but over the last year or so, I'm like trying to be laser beam focused
Yeah.
on what I'm responsible for and what I can control.
Okay. And that's the brand and the community engagement. Mostly?
Brand, community, and then what happens on the back end experience
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Unlimited Wash Pass program.
I dig it.
Yeah. But I mean, we've had a lot of site managers that have been around for a long time. There's a lot of people that are, I mean, their career will be with Breeze Through Car Wash.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's me.
probably a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
Right? Like manage when you say a site manager, that's like kind of generally the operations manager of that whole location.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
We've got site manager, regional managers, and then we've got a training department. We have a whole maintenance department.
Sure.
Yeah. We've got a lot of different things
But
going
when
on.
you're the boss at that location, that's the site manager.
That's
role,
the
kinda.
site manager.
And then a regional manager might manage 3 or 4 or 5 sites or something like that.
Yeah, we've got at this time we have 3 regional managers. Some of them take the north region, then we have a west region, then we have kind of a south region.
Yeah. And they're kind of a sounding board and obstacle remover for their site managers.
Yeah.
And, Somebody that can bring the real problems from the front lines up to headquarters, kind of.
Yeah,
to some extent.
yeah, yeah. It's been a very good deal for me and all the other people that have worked for our company.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And it again, it's so surprising because I
Well,
was
it's a
like
good deal
never even
for the
thinking about
people,
it. Yeah.
right? Like it was, spray ones and $9 a shot for your car wash for a long time. Even when people, my best friend growing up actually worked at Jetstream Car Wash, which was the only automated car wash in Jamestown, North Dakota, and it was expensive. Like he started working there when it was $3.35 an hour, and it was a rough job. You got wet every day, all day. And it was wiping stuff down a lot. There was a certain manual element, but it was already like $6 a shot to wash your car way back then.
Yeah.
And so for you guys, for $18 a month or whatever it is now, even though it was 12 a few years ago,
Oh yeah.
but that it's just a pretty good value proposition.
It is. Yeah, and um, we always position it where if you buy 2 washes within a month, um, the wash pass is less than if you bought 2 washes per month without having the wash pass.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it makes it easy
Yeah.
for the value buyer.
Yeah.
Even if you only wash your car once a month, which is true for me sometimes, it
Yeah.
still feels like the right value.
And there's a lot of different type of business models when it comes to washes. You've got the self-serves where you kind of go in and you do it yourself.
I have to do that for my
Yeah,
ambulance camper.
Yeah, it's a little too tall.
Actually, it would be fun to show up there sometime.
Yeah, I didn't know you owned that. When you pulled up, I was like, "Ooh, I want to go look in that and see what's going on."
Oh,
in
we
there.
can check it out after
Yeah,
this.
but you've got
During the
the
break.
what's called self-serve or in-bay automatics, which is kind of like your gas stations. You pull in, you sit, and it goes around your car. It's more of your touchless option.
Yep.
Ours is what you call. We have 2 of the other business models. It's an express exterior.
Okay.
Where you go through on a conveyorized wash, and then you get free vacuums afterwards.
Sure.
And then there's a flex model.
Oh.
And a flex model is you can get the exterior done, or you can pull around to get express interior services.
Oh.
Right. So we do the interior. It's not a detail.
Yeah.
It's not a detail.
quick vac,
but it's
wipe
quick vac,
And that's included in the membership?
We have a membership for that.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Yep, and that's
And a handful of locations offer that.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Mulberry too.
not Mulberry. No,
Okay.
it's only in Greeley and also in Longmont.
Okay.
And then we also have something that's a little bit.
That's more like the Casey's car wash experience from back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, and
Or maybe still. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, and Jeremy over at Casey's does a fabulous job, and that's more of a full service, right? Where you can
Right.
go in, you can get a detail, you drop your car off,
Proper
and
detail.
but
yeah.
they also offer some of the similar services we do as well.
Okay. Gotcha.
And
so you copied them.
I
Just kidding,
don't know, but,
Jeremy.
and I'm friends with Jeremy, and man, I love what he's doing. I love how he's participating in the community like we do.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of them.
Fair. I
Yeah.
like that. I love that kind of cooperation, I suppose. it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. And so, yeah, that model of having that membership pass. Are some car wash locations like way busier than others in terms of like the percentage of people that wash regularly?
Yeah. I mean, in our markets, yeah. I mean, over in Greeley, that we get a lot of volume over in Greeley.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
folks washing cars over there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and the thing I think is cool is that it actually defends value, right? Like cars depreciate slower if they're kept clean. They absorb less heat energy from our Colorado sun when they're clean, and therefore fade slower.
Yeah, I mean
All that.
we're a mile high here, so the sun is pretty brutal on
Yeah.
vehicles. But it is you bring up something pretty interesting. It is maintenance. During all the COVID shutdowns and all that kind of stuff. One of the essential businesses to stay open was maintenance shops.
Sure.
We were a maintenance shop,
Right.
You're
Yeah.
maintaining your vehicle, right?
Well, I bet you were pretty slow. But everybody had a membership, so it didn't really matter that much.
we were slower
For a few months. I mean,
yeah.
nobody drove around, right?
That was a gauntlet, man. I had to. I'm looking back at it. I mean, I've worked every day for like 3 months straight,
Really?
right? Because it was just kind of interesting because it's like, we're competing with other people, but we're friends with them. So what we all got together as competitors and said, if you're going to do something special to combat this COVID stuff, we will too. So one of our competitors said, hey, we're going to shut down the vacuums because of the spacing thing. And it wasn't really something we wanted to do, but we wanted to, we wanted to make sure that, we're not keeping ours open to have a competitive advantage over this guy during this kind of period that was of not knowing. So we all got together and we did kind of the same thing at the same time. But
what do they call that? Collusion?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I couldn't get vacuums anywhere now.
Well, yeah,
I'm
but
teasing a little bit.
yeah,
But-
oh yeah,
but no,
I know
get it.
you are. But it was like, hey, we're wanting to do this. Will you do it too? And then we came together, and I mean that was everybody was super stressed at that time. But
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
and in our department too, we handled a lot of the back end support, so it was nonstop. Me having to answer questions and people, I'm not getting the same value, and I'm
Yeah,
like, this
you
is
probably
this
did
is
get-
this is a weird time, right?
Right.
We're doing the same thing our competitors are doing, and that was the fair thing to do. And that's one thing I love about this company. We really look at that ethically, and and especially during that weird time,
Yeah.
we did the same thing everybody else did.
Do you want to talk about the leadership team at all? Do you want to give some kudos or shout outs at all to the rest of your partners that are in the head office?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that within your purview, you allowed?
Yeah, I mean, we've got, our president, y'all probably know Justin
met him,
Salisbury.
for
Yeah,
sure.
great. One thing I really respect about Justin Salisbury is he's really big into leadership. And he actually runs an organization within the car wash industry called Leadership Worth Following.
Oh, cool.
And what that does is
I saw him talk about that a little bit at a
Yeah,
chamber event or something.
You
one
probably
time.
did, yeah. And I think that's really cool because what it's doing is it's not just bringing up people from our team. It's bringing up the car wash industry.
Yeah.
Right. Because for the longest time, and I think the car wash industry is breaking out of the stigma. But it was like, oh, car washes. Yeah. It's a cover up for drugs.
If you can't get a job at McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, and they're
Oh, cover-
unprofessional.
Yeah.
Right. It's like Breaking Bad hasn't helped us out at all. Right. I mean, there was literally one point where we had to go in and make a video about what you're going to be doing at the car wash because it ain't Breaking Bad. You know what I mean?
About that.
Yeah. But I really respect Justin in all areas. He's a good friend of mine. He really, we hold each other super accountable, and we we kind of manage each other up a lot.
Cool.
But I really respect the fact that he's super into leadership, and he's not only bringing, our company up as far as leadership, but he's bringing the whole industry up.
Yeah, I dig it.
The majority owners, John, Janice, Andrea, tons of respect for all of them.
Okay.
I mean, I think of John, and like I always call him.
John was who recruited you in.
Yeah,
Originally?
he was the one when I first met. Always John and Janice, they're married, and then Andrea is John's sister. But I always think it's funny because it's like I consider them my Colorado mom and dad because even though they're not that much older than me, but
Yeah.
I mean I can go to John about investment. Advice, looking at profit and loss
Marriage
statements. And
discussions.
Yes, tons of. I mean, tons of marriage discussions. I really respect all of them tremendously. I mean, there's been times too where I've really needed something, really for my own mental health.
Yeah.
And John's been there for me. John and Janice both.
So, is the leadership team largely you and Justin elsewise? Like
We've got
and then all those,
7 of us.
all those site managers,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Yeah, we've got
Well, the regional managers.
the regional
Right, the
managers.
3 regional managers.
Yeah,
you, Justin.
they come in every other meeting,
I see.
but for the most part, it's a majority of the owners
Yeah.
that are in that as well. But we've got president, CEO, VP of administration assistant, HR,
Okay.
director of maintenance, brand manager,
Okay. Yeah.
and director of
Oh, yeah.
training.
That director of maintenance is a big job.
It's a huge job.
HR director, probably a big job.
And Kenny Harmon is our head of maintenance and does an outstanding job. Right, he
Yeah.
is. I forget which what the program's called, but where you was like, this person's a talker, this person's a supporter, this person.
Yeah.
I mean, he is.
Enneagram, maybe?
What's that?
Enneagram or a different one?
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but he is a doer and he is also
gets it
a
done.
super supporter.
Oh.
And yeah, but we've got a really, really great team.
Cool.
I mean, I can't say anything negative about any of them.
I like it.
And the professionalism piece that happens in
Yeah,
our
yeah.
meetings, right, is stands out above everything.
That's cool. It's really neat to be part of a company that you invested in fully.
Yeah.
And, I don't bring a lot of non-owners on, but I really enjoyed, getting acquainted with your story and your brand and your personal journey. And so we're gonna come back from a break and go back to Alabama.
Rock and roll.
Okay.
Hi, this is Clint Jasperson, Managing Partner at Purpose Driven Wealth. We believe financial clarity leads to a life of contentment and purpose. Our mission is to guide clients through the complexities of wealth management, retirement planning, and legacy using a values-driven, stewardship-based approach focused on provision, contentment, and enjoyment. With more than a century of expertise through Thrivent, we offer tailored strategies to help individuals and families achieve their goals and embrace generosity. Whether you're navigating a life or business transition or planning for the future, we're here to partner with you every step of the way. To learn more about Purpose Driven Wealth, call 970-330-7411.
And we're back. So, I thought when I was taking a break just now that we should talk about music.
Love it.
I know that's a big part of your life as well.
Yeah.
Are you actively in a music thing now?
I've got a couple of things going on.
Okay.
Right now we have a dad band going on.
Okay.
We're called the Dilfs.
The Dilfs?
Yeah, the Dilfs.
Like the dad-eyed?
No. No, somebody told me that
Yeah, you should change your name.
Well, no, it doesn't stand for that. It stands for the Devoted, Involved, Loving Fathers.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody told me it stood for something different. So,
I've been
yeah.
I've been called a bilf before.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a beard I'd love to fondle.
Oh, okay.
Which my wife wasn't impressed when I told her that story, but yeah, dilfs is nice.
Yeah. Devoted, Involved, Loving Fathers.
Oh, that's
I
pretty
don't.
nice.
It's kind of a dad thing that we're doing with our friends right now. So it's kind of a jam, a practice. We just have fun
Have you been in
with it.
public yet?
No, not yet. Yeah, I mean it's.
Who are the other dilfs in your life?
My buddy Chad that I raft guided with.
Sure.
My buddy Jeff, he's a firefighter. John, who's the regional manager with us, and then my buddy Chris, the brand manager I was talking about earlier today.
Nice.
Amazing graphic designer guy. So I kind of messing around with that a little bit. I have another thing going
And what do
on.
you do? What's your instrument?
Guitar in that right now. Yeah, I played bass for a long time in town. I was
Okay.
and then after I took about a 10-year break, I started concentrating on guitar. So I'm
Okay.
working on that. It's like it's been coming soon for like 2 years, but yeah, we'll be doing something
Okay. All right.
before too long.
Maybe you would play for like super cheap for a local think tank social or something like that sometime.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we
We
could.
don't have a very big budget for the band, but we always like live music.
Yeah, we just need somebody to give us a shot. But I play with another guy named Chris Muschel in town, and we play down at Lucky Joe's.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he
what we
sings,
do.
you play,
Yeah,
or
we both
You both play. And
Yeah,
do you
that's-
sing too?
I don't sing. No.
No?
Working towards it, but
Okay.
then I play with and I have kind of a house jam that we do a couple Sundays out of the month with a
Okay.
local musician. His name's Carlton Pride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I've been told I need to go see Carlton Pride. It's
Yeah.
what's his name? Charlie Pride's kid.
Yeah. He's been a mentor to me for a long
wow.
time. He was my neighbor, and it was fun. I got to meet Charlie one time
Oh,
when
really?
my daughter was super young.
Oh wow.
She was Charlie was over at Carlton's house and asked me if I wanted to come over. I was like, "Oh heck yeah, I want to hang out
Right.
with Charlie Pride." So we actually sat on the couch together like this for about 3 hours, and we watched Texas Rangers baseball, and then
wow.
and also Judge Judy. Him and his wife were a big fan of Judge Judy, and we watched. It was
That's fun.
fun, but I regret it because it's like he was holding my daughter when she was a little baby and stuff. I was like, I should have got a picture of
Right?
that. But
Yeah.
Charlie was super cool.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he passed away a couple years ago, but super cool, man.
Now, is Carlton a full-time musician and just does this kind of jam thing from time to time?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. It's we
He
go over.
lives here though.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does, and we knew him because we were
Maybe he
neighbors.
should be on my podcast at some point.
Yeah, he would be an interesting.
I'm sure.
He's got some really, really cool stories.
Well,
man.
and deep roots in old Nashville, right, or whatever.
Wait, he was in Dallas.
Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's Texas based is where Charlie Pride was from.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. If he's and
Presumably.
yeah. Well, but he's got a lot of stories with interactions with a lot of famous musicians.
yeah.
He'd be an interesting one to bring on the
For
show
sure.
sometime.
Well,
yeah.
if you're listening to this, Carlton, I'm open.
Yeah. I'll share him the link.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you dabble here and there. Do you do you ever take money for it? Sometimes,
Not
much.
when we were
Never
when
with
we
the
were in a
expectation of profit.
Right. That's kind of but back in the day when we played a lot, but like right now, because I'm getting back into it, I had to take a break for like 10 years. I mean, the business needs were taking over. We had a second child, and I had to, there was a time when we were down at the swing station, and I saw my buddies driving up to the river with their kayaks on top of the car, and I'm like, I'm playing a gig right now. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. They're going boating. It's like, I got to eliminate something. So I eliminated something, and it's been about 10 years, so I'm trying to get back into it.
Okay, cool.
And because of the fusion, holding a 13-pound bass over my shoulder for hours at a time started to hurt me. So that's why that's one of the other reasons why I transitioned, trying to transition over to guitar. But yeah, we'll be doing something soon. It was funny.
Okay, stay tuned.
Earlier today. I was down at KRFC because we do a lot with KRFC, and and so I was down there talking with them, and there was this meme. You know how they do the memes of the Halloween costumes and stuff.
Sure.
And it's like it's like middle-aged musician, and there's these couple of bullet points, and one of the bullet points was like coming soon. I was like, yeah, I've been saying that for like 2 years. Yeah.
One thing though, I love the old guy bands around here. Like there's kind of a number of different kind of groups that are kind of garage bandy things, but those guys do great work.
Yeah.
It's not the same as that 24-year-old angst kind of thing, but it has when I went golfing years ago, there was these guys that were like, well, you've had have a golf coach to teach you how to golf, but we'll teach you how to score.
Yeah.
And it's different than knowing how to golf. It's like not making big mistakes, figuring out how the crowd works a little bit. Like some of those old guy tricks just really work good.
Well, it's interesting. A good friend of mine is Lance Ruby, which you may know Lance. He plays in a lot of the band, Graham Good and the Painters.
Oh, sure. I know Graham
Sugar
well.
Britches.
Oh, sure. I've seen both of those.
Musketeer Gripweed. He's the guitar player of all those.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know all these bands,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, I've known Ben from Musketeer forever.
Oh yeah. And so we went to a Nuggets game last Friday night, and I was telling him about me podcasting, so I was kind of asking him a bunch of questions just to see if I can kind of like carry on an interview kind of like this. And one thing he was talking about was like when he was younger, he said when he really started to develop his chops is when he started playing with people twice his age, right? And it's kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like the golfers, how to score, right?
Right. You can learn how to play a note, but how do you?
Yeah, like how do you
Do
do
the
it? And there's a lot
intangibles.
of things, right? Like there's the band dynamic, which is you got to have people in there that can jive together. One of these terms that you hear sometimes is like lead singers that have LSD, which stands for lead singer's disease. You want to kind of avoid that.
Kind of like Napoleon syndrome.
Yeah,
It's different.
yeah. And he also talked about it's good to have band members that have multiple talents. Like, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like what? He's like, somebody that can do social media and also play an instrument and that kind of stuff. And the other thing, it was like, play with a lot of different people so you can build a bench and also see different styles. And, a lot of musicians, I know they have like 3 different projects going at once because
right.
you never know when one's going to end and then another one's going to start. And that kind
I don't
of
know
stuff.
how you guys make room for it. Like I'm actually like humbly when I'm singing at church, I'm one of the top 10 male voices in the room, right? Like I got a pretty good singing voice, but I've never learned how to play guitar.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little jealous. And like, where am I going to fit it?
Yeah.
Like, what do I cut? What things do I cut out to spend 8 hours a week playing guitar?
Right. Well, you kind of have to like make a decision, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like with the dead band, it's kind of like we're all,
The
we're all
dose.
prior. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Devoted, involved, loving Father. Just want to make sure that sticks. But I heard a laugh come from the other room when we said it earlier. That was
Yeah, I
pretty
did
funny.
too.
Yeah. Well, we all have. We're all dads,
real
right?
job.
If you're devoted,
Yeah.
loving father, right? You need to prioritize family first,
Yep,
right?
yep.
All
And
that
probably
kind
a
of
real
stuff.
job too,
Right. But it's got to be a mindset. It's like, this is what I focus on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? This
yeah.
is what I focus on. So I go home and I play basically every single night because
Really?
I feel like I'm making up for lost time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Is that kind of your, like for me, honestly, that's cooking dinner.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I'm that's where I express my creativity a lot, is just figuring out I made jambalaya last night, on a Monday, and it was delicious.
Oh,
And,
nice.
so for me, that has been my creative outlet a little bit.
Question: do you ever use AI to come up with recipes?
No.
It's funny. My buddy Chris that I've talked about,
Yeah.
the brand manager guy. He talked about. He was like, I go home and he's like, I look in my pantry and I was like, okay, I've got this and this and this and this,
Yeah.
and he drops an AI and it spits out a recipe
Huh.
for him. And he's like, and then that way I don't have to like research something, go to the
Or think, yeah.
yeah. He goes, I just use what I have at home. I plug it into AI,
Oh, that sucks.
and then
Because I consider that to be one of my strongest talents, is
Yeah.
like looking at what I've got left in the fridge from, whatever shopping on Sunday, but now it's Friday.
yeah.
Because I don't really plan meals. I buy based on sales and what looks nice and whatever, and then the meals come together from my brain.
Nice.
But if AI could do it better and use up also that other thing,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. I might have to try it.
Just plug in what you got to
Yeah,
AI
yeah.
and it'll spit out a recipe.
Huh. That is Yep. None of us are gonna have jobs here.
Right,
Well,
right.
the car wash will have a few.
Well, it's interesting because like AI is in the car wash industry. I
Oh,
mean
sure.
that's a lot of the conversation that's going on right now. I mean, one thing that's interesting is like a call center AI service now, right?
Oh wow.
And
Yeah, the AI can learn all your stuff really fast.
right, right. And see, one thing that
Oh, dang.
we
So
yeah,
call centers are probably really suffering, or at least will be in 5 years if they're not already.
right, right, yeah. I mean,
Because you got to train that Filipino person a lot because a lot of them work for like 4 or 5 different companies, right? They got to learn all these things, IT support, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, it's very interesting, and I mean, like, and even the AI, the system that we're vetting out, you could call other companies that are using it right now, and you don't even know that you're talking to
Really?
an AI person.
I want mine to sound like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Hi, you've called Loco Think Tank.
yeah.
No, just kidding.
Might be Gilbert Godfrey, right?
Yeah.
No, that might have an opposite effect on the
How
customer
do I
experience.
enhance trust?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think maybe what was that guy that and now the rest of the story
I don't know.
from way back when? It was a radio show, and now you know the rest of the story.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. who it
Anyway,
is.
I digress.
Yeah,
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey. Okay, I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I would trust him.
But it's interesting because it could fill a gap too, right? Because we're not answering the phones 24/7,
right,
but
right.
now we have something that can.
Well, and probably answer 90% of the questions that people call in about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And what we learned is
Hmm.
like, frequently asked questions, you put as much as that stuff on your website as you possibly can because
Yeah.
that's where AI is pulling from.
Oh, sure.
And so that
Oh, wow.
yeah, something maybe a little nugget for you to take away from this.
Right. I
Yeah.
haven't updated my frequently asked questions since Rory was my employee, like in 2019, 2020.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And
intriguing. Huh.
yeah, and so anytime we have somebody that asks a question, we document it, and if it happens more than once, then we
Mm-hmm.
put it on the website. And then now AI can look at that and say, and
Oh, I
answer
know
those
the answer to that
questions.
question.
Yeah,
Oh, so crazy. And it probably learns in its off time. It doesn't have to like go learn in the moment because it's already fed itself. Like Alma has already kind of fed Chat GPT, like all the local think tank stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as much as you can about us, like, be thoughtful of that when you create stuff for us.
Yeah.
Same for you, probably, or maybe you're not using it as intentionally or differently.
I'm not using it as much, but my marketing communications
kinda me
coordinator.
too.
I mean,
Yep.
he's his name's Steve. He's a whiz at all this stuff,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's like it's funny because now I'm becoming my parents. It's like technology.
kids?
Yeah, like
Can you make it do that thing?
yeah. Like technology wise, I'm like I feel like I'm falling behind, but like he's so good at it,
Yeah.
you know. But it's interesting, like the AI stuff. Like even when the car wash industry, like there's a system, there's a camera system. So like if you're going down like through the car wash, and somebody hits their brakes and they start to go backwards or something, there's technology that actually stops our whole entire system because it shows a box around a car, and if you
Right.
go outside of that box, it says, "Oh, this person's out of
Right.
the area," and it'll stop the whole conveyor.
That's
So
interesting.
it's very interesting, all the
Yeah,
AI
yeah.
stuff that's coming down the
Oh,
pipeline.
sure. I just changed yesterday morning, or actually Sunday night, my furnace quit working. And I screwed around to this and that, and then I ended up like taking out the flame sensor and sanding it off. And what the flame sensor does is, like, if the flame goes off, but then there isn't a flame, then it stops it from pumping natural gas into your house while the furnace is not running.
Okay.
And same kind of thing. Like, but that was old school. Like, it's this little sensor thing that detects this one thing. Right, with your systems, you can detect so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, even when the station is unoccupied, so much. But it's all about safety ultimately, and
Right.
for your people and your customers, really.
There's,
Huh.
I mean, our safety program is so extensive. It's like we
Yeah,
we do it just because we're responsible.
Sure.
But at the same time, you have to put all these things in place.
Well, and those manufacturers of those equipments and things like that are probably got a very rigid protocol too.
Yeah.
I want to, before we go into some of our closing segments, I want to go back to Alabama.
Okay.
When you were wading through
The Locust Fort
different
River.
lakes, the
Yeah.
Locust Fort River.
Yeah.
So circle me in Alabama. So there's Mississippi by Louisiana. Alabama's adjacent to Georgia and above a little part of Florida. All right. And where are
Yeah.
you in that state?
The north part.
North. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's just south of Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was probably 2.5 hours to Chattanooga.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what kind of a background were your parents? What were they up to? You said you had one sibling?
Yeah, I have one sibling.
Okay.
We're from a small town.
Okay.
I mean,
Like 1,000?
well, what's interesting, so this is because I heard you say you graduated with a class of 6?
Five. Yeah,
Five.
5.
So my graduating class was 66 people, and we were
Okay.
the biggest school in our county.
Oh, wow.
And and I looked at some statistics recently about the
Oh, wow.
population, and
So it was all little towns.
yeah, and it hadn't grown that much.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Same as where
we
I'm
were
from.
a dry county forever, and then
Oh, wow.
then they finally released it. I don't know. I'd have to say probably 10 years ago. Maybe it's been a little bit longer.
Oh,
than
so
that.
when you were growing up, you grew up in a dry county?
Yeah, and
Okay.
a lot of the counties around me were dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty normal. And did the kids not drink then?
No, they have to drive to the county next to them, go buy
Right, or
their
2
alcohol.
counties over if
yeah,
they have to.
and then they have to drive back. I was like, that's not so safe.
They're
If you
already
consider-
drunk by the time they get back to our
if
county.
you do a BWRUN beer run and you got to go over to the next county and and everybody's it's like it wasn't the safest thing, and then the counties next to us were the ones that were getting the revenue,
Right.
and so
Yeah, that's kind of one of those fixed it but actually fucks it up more
yeah
kind of things, right? All you do is cost your county a bunch of tax revenue
yeah
and make your kids burn more gas
yeah
and be more unsafe by driving over and get their booze. Although it probably did decrease the prevalence some. Or
yeah I'm not sure.
Not
all
for your
everything all the decisions that made enhancements happened after I left, so
Fair enough.
yeah.
So you're in this kind of small town environment. What were you? Good student? Were you an athlete? Were you an adventurer? Like,
Oh man, how much do I disclose here? So let's
don't know.
see here. So yeah, yeah. So I played basketball my whole entire life. I mean, well, until I graduated. When I was in college, I just played rec stuff.
Sure,
But
same here.
basketball was a big thing for me.
Okay.
Music was always a big thing for me. I was in the band.
Okay.
I was in the band. I was very passionate about that. I played the trombone and the
Actually,
baritone.
my next door neighbor has a lot of Alabama history there too.
Oh, really? They're
Yeah.
from Alabama?
Yeah, he's from Alabama too.
Oh, I might be related to him.
Maybe.
So
There was a band out here that played downtown on Mountain there at what's Pat Stryker's place? The Armory.
okay.
That was from Alabama last fall.
Oh man. I know who you're talking about because all my buddies were
That
sending
was
it
his
to me.
neighbor. That was like his neighbor
Yeah,
for a long
and-
time, and one of his kids used to play for that band.
Yeah, and that's interesting because all my friends were like, "You got to check them out." I'm like, "I'm at a cheer competition. And I can't do this." That's.
Anyway,
but yeah,
so
I mean,
that is. I
it's-
lied to you earlier. I don't. That's my other Alabama connection, and basically, it's my next door neighbor.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so it's so I was always passionate about band, and it's good that I did that because I still I went on to put down
Yeah.
the trombone, played bass for 10 years in a blues band around here, and so that was cool.
Which blues band?
It was called the Deja Blues Band.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen you before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, gotcha. We'll have some side conversations
Yeah,
after
yeah.
this. But I played bass in that band for a while. But that was cool because I took that experience and I was able to, still do those types of things these days. I wasn't much of a football person. Football in the South, as you know, it's practically a religion.
Yeah,
It was funny because people, if you
me
move,
and you aren't really built for football. So
yeah,
much.
yeah. Yeah, we're kind of scrawny, right?
Right.
yeah.
We get hurt too easy.
Yeah, we got a tapeworm. Yeah, I get
Well,
it.
we don't run fast
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
For the skinny guys, we run too slow. For the big guys, we're just not big enough.
But yeah, I mean, so that was a big thing. It was. I always joke about it because it's kind of funny. Everybody Saturday was watching Alabama football, Alabama or Auburn. If you
Yeah.
ever move to Alabama from a different state, you have to choose a side because people are going to start asking you, "Are you an
Interesting.
Alabama Auburn
Okay.
fan?" But I mean, everybody'd be sitting in there watching a national championship, and I'd be in there like fixing up my skateboard or something. I never was interested in it. But when I went to college, it was a big deal. So
My logo here, my original logo.
yeah.
This cost me $175 from a Clemson Tiger attendee at the time. My co-founder's daughter was attending Clemson and drew me that up,
Oh, cool.
which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Well, it
Lasted us like 8 years or something.
well, what's cool is you can do a lot with with the logos too. You can just do a lot with just straight up text.
Yeah,
What's the guy's name? Stanley Kubrick or what?
Kubrick.
Kubrick. Yeah.
yeah.
My buddy Chris, I've been telling you about the
Yeah.
brand manager guy. He did a whole series of posters, and it was just in text,
Oh, fun.
and they loved it. And he just used a specific text, and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Pretty interesting guy.
So anyway, that's my. I don't like Clemson is where my logo came from.
Yeah.
It's close.
All
South
right.
Carolina. That's almost. It's right above Georgia, right?
Yeah, it's a couple states over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about Alabama, like your community. What was it driven by? Was it like little farms and stuff around there? Were they raising crops? Was it? Yeah, tell me about like maybe if you know.
The atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere, the scene.
Yeah. In my experience, it was where I'm from was always pretty boring.
Okay.
Right now, I mean,
That's
I
same as where I'm from.
I love where I'm from. Like
Yeah,
it's
same.
funny now at the age I am with how busy everything
Mm-hmm.
is around here, I love going back home and sitting on a front porch
Right.
and playing guitar and and banjo
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. But like growing up, I would, believe it or not, I was a pretty social guy. So I wanted
Yeah.
to be out in the city scene and all that kind of stuff and be, talking to people.
Which is what? What was that for you? What was the closest city?
Birmingham,
Which was
hour north.
okay.
Yeah, and
All
then
right.
and then
And
Tuscaloosa.
that's a pretty big city, right?
Yeah,
500,000 or more.
yeah. I haven't looked at
Million But
the
a big city.
population in a while, but I would say it's probably about the size of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tuscaloosa is
Tuscaloosa.
smaller, but that was closer.
Yeah, and I actually think CSU. Now, don't quote me on this, but I think CSU is bigger than Tuscaloosa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No-
Well, I mean, that's where I grew up too. Like Jamestown was 20,000 people 40 years ago and 20 years ago and now and 60 years ago.
Yeah. It's about the same. The
About
whole
the
time.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so there, a lot of people have a lot of land around there and that kind of stuff. It's not like out here, like it's hard to get land.
Sure.
So I enjoyed I enjoyed where I lived more when I got to discover more of the things that I appreciated. So I was into rock climbing, I was into kayaking, and when I figured out how to do those things, I appreciated where I was from more often, because a lot of rock climbing spots in Alabama are in my hometown, as well as the
Oh, is that
whitewater
right?
rivers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was part of what plugged you into kind of the outdoor sports scene in some ways, I suppose.
Yeah. And so the older I got, the more I appreciated it, because I got to branch out more.
Yeah.
But where I went to high school was 25 minutes away from where I lived at. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And so, like, until I got my driver's license, I was the
You
last
ride
person
'em.
in my class to
You
get their
ride a
driver's
bus.
license. I kind of was just stuck at home all the time.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? And so that was always kind of boring for me, but it was a good
And
thing.
Did you come from a faith-oriented background or something?
Yes.
Right? Like I assume that's kind of Bible Belt headquarters almost.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is. And but yeah,
What were your folks doing?
my folks. So my mom, she was a bookkeeper for a HVAC company.
Okay.
My dad worked for the phone company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like fixing the telephone wires or whatever. In the
Yeah,
field
yeah,
or whatever?
climbing poles
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. There's a lot of times where my dad would just wake up in the middle of the night and go to work
Right.
to put me and my sister through college.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very much a middle class family environment. Like they were probably doing better than a lot of your compatriots around you, or
Yeah, we were doing pretty good.
yeah,
We were doing pretty
you were
good.
you
yeah,
were
and-
almost upper middle class.
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
region.
yeah. I mean, there was definitely
Both mom and dad had a pretty decent job
yeah,
comparably.
yeah. We weren't balling, but we weren't in
Right.
trouble.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to just get a kind of a gauge of that environment. Like
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was I absolutely love where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
And but when I was younger, I got bored a lot, and so
Sure.
that's why the guitar thing
first ticket
came
to
into
Colorado
place.
and this
Yeah,
and that, yeah.
yeah, and that's
And did you go to college out there?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to the University of Alabama.
Which is Birmingham?
No, that's Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was right there too.
That's Roll Tide.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But I did go to school at the University of Alabama at Birmingham for a little bit.
Okay.
But ultimately I ended up in Tuscaloosa.
and then what? Like, talk to me about that season. You said you had finished college? Did you finish it before you moved to Colorado?
I did. I graduated and then
Okay.
I took off.
And then you took off, and like you didn't think about trying to get like a real job for 5 years, and then it took a couple more years to actually do it.
Well, I wanted to play around before I got a real job.
Yeah.
And because I graduated, there was always this thing in the back of my head. I was like, I gotta get a career. And so that's why I only did the Raft Guide thing for 2 years.
Okay.
Looking back at it, I think everything fell into place just perfectly for me. But
Oh, for
looking
only
back,
2 years?
Yeah, only 2 years.
Oh, I thought you did it longer. I'm
No,
sorry.
I did it for 2 years, but I've always been a private guide. Like I'll go guide all my buddies and do all that stuff.
Gotcha.
I did it for 2 years, and the reason I only did it for 2 years is because I did. My parents put me through college, and that it was time for me to say,
Gotcha.
"Hey, thank you for this. Here's my career. Let me get off your finances,
I
your
see.
dependency
I
for
see.
a certain level."
That was kind of your outlet to being independent from
Yeah,
that obligation.
yep.
Do you take private raft tours now?
I'll bring all my buddies down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have when does the Pooter become raftable?
Well, let me see.
Ish.
Yeah, I mean,
Not until June, really, right?
yeah. Well, May.
Really?
Yeah,
Early
May.
May?
And I've been up on it in April before.
Okay.
Yeah, like the end of April. But May it starts to kick up.
Okay.
It kind of always depends. Like there's been years where it's been like mid-May before it starts running. But like last couple years, it seems like it starts running in April. I mean, it's
Interesting.
low water, but it's super cold, and you
Yeah.
get stuck on rocks.
Well, yeah, I've got an exchange student right now that came to. He's from Finland, where there are no rivers. It's just flat.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's right over adjacent to Russia and stuff. But he's leaving like May 10th or something like that. And so we were bummed out the other day. We were like, well, you kind of came in August after the rivers are too little, and you're leaving before they get big enough. So sorry, you'll have to go rafting in Spain or something. Like, we can't help you.
I've got some suggestions for you after
Okay.
this where
All right.
y'all, you can bring him.
Yeah, all right. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
We've got at least 1 or 2 weekends still left to try to figure something out. Or he's very willing to skip school.
Okay. Yeah.
So
All right. I would be too if you got to go
right.
rafting.
Plus,
Yeah.
he doesn't get any credit for like his school here doesn't count toward his school in Finland. So
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you get C's, we're fine. Like, as long as you tried a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a bucket here.
All right. Oh,
These
I don't know
are
what
the
I think I know what that is.
random or outlandish. Oh, by the way, we didn't ask, but do you want to give a gift away from Breeze Through Car Wash as the prize here?
I can. Yes, I can supply
We
you
could
with
do
a gift.
something, whatever, $25 gift card.
I got
or
you.
3 months membership or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, do I need to commit to it now or tell you afterwards?
Well, the winner is claimed by responding to affirm that they listen to your answer of one of these questions.
Okay.
That's how we do it.
Okay. I will do a 3-month wash pass.
Okay.
All right.
3-month wash pass, and then we'll decide as these questions unfold, like which question is the right one.
Okay.
But basically, we're trying to get people to like listen all the way through because it gets kind of tiring after an hour and a half. And
Sure.
Ava's sitting here, she's like, so not really, but it's a podcast. It's a long form podcast. So
Okay.
grab 3 numbers out of there. Each of those 3 numbers is attached to a question on this list. And then after your answers, I'll declare which one is the winning answer. So I know, yeah. Anyway, we didn't talk about this before, but we did talk about it in the email that I sent you, but you didn't read it. That's okay.
No.
Which numbers do you have?
I think that's a 6, right?
Looks
Or
like
a 9.
6. Oh, no, it's got the line underneath it, so that means it's a 6. Ooh, I like this one. I've only asked this question once before.
Uh-oh.
If you could only eat one color of food for the rest of your life, what color would you choose?
I would probably say green because it's the healthiest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But I
You
did
get a lot, like avocados, lettuce, right?
Yeah, and I'm now at the age where I really have to think about what I eat.
Right.
Right. It's never happened before, but now I'm like, oh, if I eat that, it's weird.
I'd like to have chocolate pudding, but
Yeah. So I would have to say green because it's the healthiest option.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's reasonable.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. What's your second number?
7.
7. How do you define happiness?
How do I define happiness? Oh man. So
Dedicated. What was it? Dedicated, intentional dads.
devoted, involved, loving fathers.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That seems like part of it. at
So
least.
what makes me happy? What makes me like the happiest is when I can assist other people with reaching memorable moments. So that's my
I like
motto in life is like I want to be able to provide my services to other people so it rises them up.
Yeah.
And so I mean, an example is one thing that I do, and it's the most purposeful thing that I do every year is I help prepare the speaker for our employee appreciation dinner do their speech.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's a long process, and you're taking somebody that's never done public speaking and you're asking them to stand in front of a room of 400 people to speak.
Yeah.
And when they deliver that speech and they get to the end, and I see them like really elevate their selves,
Yeah.
because public
You changed their whole
speaking, I mean,
life,
you do
probably.
public speaking, I do it, you know, I mean, it's one of the hardest things to do. When I
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
when it gets to that moment, when it gets to when they get done and everybody gives them a standing ovation, that is the happiest moment that
Yeah.
I achieve in it throughout the whole entire year.
That's cool.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
That lifting up of somebody, and yeah,
Right.
can't argue.
Right.
Can't add.
You feel
Good.
that, right? Because
Oh,
you've
yeah.
done it too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Whenever I see, whether it's staff or a member or whatever, just somebody get beyond where they thought they were going to be,
Yeah.
Whether it's a year or 3 years or whatever time frame or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So awesome.
That's the Zen moment.
That is the Zen moment.
Yeah.
What's your last number?
It's a 1. Uh-oh.
Your favorite childhood memory,
My favorite
or
child.
earliest, or notable, memorable.
Well, I don't know. So I'm going to go with earliest.
Okay.
Because, and it's not my favorite, and it definitely was not my mom's favorite.
Okay.
But it was like the first thing I ever remembered.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a. If my mom listens to this,
Yeah.
she'll recognize this.
Love you, Mama.
Yeah, I love mom. Love all my parents and all my family. There was a we had a little dog house, a little handmade dog house that kind of set off to the corner of our property.
Okay.
And one time I just went down and I hid in it for hours.
Okay.
And my mom did not know where I was. And she panicked and freaked out. And we had we had
Like all the neighbors were over by the time it was over.
right. Like everybody was there, and I'm just hanging out in there, just being quiet. I think I fell asleep. Right. At
would
one
hope so.
point, I
Otherwise
woke
you
up
wouldn't
because
have a
I
good
was there for hours, and I remember walking out of it, and like there was all these people. My mom come running up and like crying and just freaking out because she thought I'd went missing.
Yeah.
But that was literally the first memory I ever had in my life. And it
Wow.
was interesting. It's like, why was that my first memory? Maybe because it was shocking to people.
For sure.
And my mom and I were talking about it last time I was at home, and she remember she was just talking about how like she just freaked out about it. But that definitely wasn't my favorite memory as a kid, but it was my earliest memory as a kid. And I think I was around like 4 or 5. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
neat to remember that.
Yeah, and maybe I just remembered it because it was, it was just like
Well, traumatic.
it was traumatic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Your mom was all freaked out, but also you were just,
yeah,
you impacted all these people's day.
yeah, and I was like, I am never going to do that again. But as far as like favorite memories, I think of a lot of times when I was at our lake, right? That's going to the lake and being at this property that we've owned our whole entire life, the memories that we built there, and just the solitude of being there
Yeah.
is very impactful.
Is that something like you want your kids to own someday or be part owners of or whatever with their
100%.
cousins, that kind of thing?
Yeah, 100%. It's just so far away, but we need to put plans in place to make sure we're there a lot.
Yeah.
But
Let's talk about your wife, because you've kind of talked about her a little bit without really naming her. Oh, and so I'm going to take from those questions, I'm going to say your definition of happiness made the most fun win. So the first person to contact us on either the Instagram or the LinkedIn accounts and share a synopsis of Wade's description of how you define happiness will win a 3-month wash pass.
there you go.
So email it in. So we started talking about your wife,
Okay.
and I think we should talk more about her because she's obviously been probably the most impactful thing in a lot of ways in your life. I feel like, from our conversation, I feel like we heard a lot of like appreciation of her influence in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty, an outgoing person, and
Yeah.
kind of overly sometimes.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
been
Accused of.
accused of being overly extroverted, and she's kind of the opposite. So
Yeah.
she keeps me really kind of balanced in that sort of thing. Um,
What's her name?
Gretchen.
Hi, Gretchen.
Yeah, hi
You'll
Gretchen.
probably listen to this.
Yeah, you'll probably take a listen to it. I there was a defining moment where I knew that she was absolutely the one. Um, so when I first moved to Fort Collins, I moved up here, and we just kind of met. We've been dating for 2 summers,
Okay.
and
And is this the same girl that you went down the river for?
yes,
Okay,
same
just
girl.
making sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, when I met her, I was like, "This is the one," right? But
Yeah.
I had met her at the end of a summer. I went back home to Alabama for a couple months, and then I came back for a second summer. She was wanting to come up here, and because she just moved here from Canyon, been there basically her whole life, and was
Yeah.
ready to get out. And so I actually convinced her to come back at final season. She didn't really
Oh.
want to because she just moved up here, and she
Oh,
came back. We
interesting.
hung out for a couple months, and then she came back up here, and and I moved out here. But shortly after I moved here, I developed an infection on my spine,
Yeah.
and it was an abscess. And this abscess.
So this is before you guys were like a thing all the way?
We were dating,
Yeah.
but we weren't married, we weren't engaged. I was still kind of boyfriend
She had
status.
no obligation to you.
Right. She could easily said I'm going this direction, and it wasn't like solidified.
Sure.
You.
But she loved you. And
Yeah,
you
she
loved her.
did, and
Clearly.
she loved me, and I loved her, and but like shortly after that, I developed this infection on my spine that ate away the bones in my neck, and this infection actually almost severed my spinal cord,
Yeah.
from the neck down. I could have easily
Was
been.
this from a previous injury or something? Or how-
My friend's dog knocked me down the steps, and it broke my toe. And I have a high tolerance for pain. I don't know where bacteria got in there, but bacteria traveled up my
somehow got into your
bloodstream
spinal column.
and ended up in my neck, and it was eating away the bones
Wow.
in my neck. And this happened like basically overnight. And so I went through this major medical scare.
At least the symptoms for it
Yeah.
happened, right? It probably took a while to develop, but all of a sudden you're like,
I mean,
I can't do anything.
I just woke up one morning and it hurt, and it was shortly after that injury happened. And so she's dating this guy that she met from Alabama. He was hanging out, living with her at the time, and now I'm going through this major medical scare where I may possibly never walk again.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have caught it when they did, it could have severed my spinal cord, and I'd have been paralyzed from the neck
Wow.
down. And it was a very scary moment for her, especially
Sure.
because she was ready to, start a family, meet someone, and move, that direction. And now she's having to deal with somebody that
Right.
might have to be dealing with, a possible
Yeah.
disability the rest of their life.
I can have no kids and a dude with a wheelchair to take care of for the rest
Right,
of my life.
right. And if the worst case scenario would have happened, and if the worst case scenario would have happened, I would have said, move on. I have parents that can take care of me, but you go enjoy your life. But she stuck with me through the whole entire thing. I mean, we talk about it these days. She's like, yeah, I was waking up in the middle of the night having
Was
to
this
give you a
like
sponge
after your
bath.
second summer together kind of thing?
Yeah.
Almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so all these, and I had somebody at work one time. She goes, she gave me some advice. She said, if you're going, the right person in your life you need to be with is somebody. If you go through a major obstacle together, well, we went through that. I was the one that was hurt. She wasn't. She stuck with me. And we got through it. I'm here today. I'm here able to talk to this. We've got a
Yeah.
good career, but it could have easily went a different direction. And I'm very appreciative for her kindness.
Yeah. Honestly,
just her
that's-
heart. She's
Well, that's a lot of selflessness right there.
right. a
And
wonderful person in that area.
a lot of young people today and always have always been selfish, and so that's
Right.
a really interesting indicator.
Yeah, and so I mean, we jived great before that. We jive even better now. All relationships have their ups and downs. We've had
Yeah.
a few where it's been down, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And she's very patient with me. She's just a wonderful person altogether. And I thank God that that she's in my life.
Yeah.
And so very meaningful.
Well, thanks, Christian, for
Yeah.
sticking by.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You've got a couple of kiddos.
Yeah. We've got two.
We play a game, a one-word description. Would you like to try that game?
One word description.
Yeah,
All
of your
right.
kids.
Yeah. This was in
Each.
the email too.
Yeah,
I read that.
It's hard. Like, it's
Yeah.
just one word, but you can expand. Who's the older?
Campbell is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a word for her?
Uh,
Him?
Yeah.
Campbell's a hard name, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We named him after Wayne Campbell. Party on.
Right on.
No.
Party on, Wayne.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. One of my best friends. He's a musician as well. His name is Robert Klein, but his middle name is Campbell. Yeah. So that's where we got it from. But I always say Wayne Campbell. Party on Wayne. Party on Wade. He is one word description. Hardworking.
No.
Yeah, he's really he's really into golf right now,
Okay.
and like he's decided that's his sport.
He's going to be a golf pro.
Yeah, and I am not a golfer. I've never been a golfer.
Yeah.
But he is working real hard every day to figure out how he can get money where he can support himself in his own sport.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go, buddy.
Right.
Go. You do your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's
Free thinker as well, sounds like.
yeah, I'm very appreciative of him. I'm doing that because I saw a little bit of myself in that. Like
Yeah.
started
Well, nobody from Alabama went to Colorado to raft guide,
yeah.
right? Like nobody that you grew up with
No.
left hardly.
No. Yeah. You're exactly right. Like a lot of people, they go to college, they get crazy, then they move back, and that's what they do the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the few that
Or they
never
move
left.
to Birmingham
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, but they
yeah,
don't
yeah.
go to Colorado. They don't really go to New York. You know,
No. I don't know anybody.
Right, Seattle, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the same from North Dakota. I mean, we're like, even though we're far different, like North Dakota's as cold as shit and Alabama's as hot as you can get,
Right.
but we're the same in terms of like culture of like exploration isn't really
Part of
part
what
of
you
the culture.
do.
Yeah,
Right.
you do your thing and then you come back home. Kinda.
Yeah, but
So anyway,
yeah. Oh no. I mean, I 100% agree with
So,
you. I always
good
joke
for
about
Campbell
it.
that he's got that explorer's gene too.
Yeah, he's just hardworking. Like he's like, I need money for this, and he goes and finds it. Like he
Yeah.
walks around the neighborhood. He's shy, but when it comes to that kind of thing, he's very good at it.
And the next kiddo?
Candace.
Candace.
Yeah, she's 3 years younger. She's
Okay.
10. I would say that she is outgoing like her dad.
Okay.
So outgoing.
You said your son was a little more like your mom personality.
Yeah, a little more reserved, but Candace not so much,
Yeah.
right? Like even at the event that we were at this
Sure.
past weekend, she was standing on the chair and she was waving,
Hey,
at
there's
the,
a bit over here.
at the employee appreciation dinner. I brought her up on stage so she can announce one of the winners, and she's
Nice.
standing on stage talking to a microphone in front of 400 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's got
I
more.
wasn't ready for that at 10.
Yeah, but she's all about it, right? And I mean, I know we said one word, but she's pretty motivated as well, especially with her sports and that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. Yeah, so I mean, they're both hardworking, which I appreciate. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
something, we keep hearing these things about today's generation where it's like, hey, get off the couch and go get a
Right,
job.
left the video
I
games.
have zero concerns with those two about
Yeah,
doing
sounds
that
like
kind
it.
of thing. So
Do you have a spot of advice maybe for the next generation? I kind of shifted gears on you here, but like if you're thinking about you when you were, anywhere from 22 to 25, when you were kind of getting your career going, but you were still kind of goofing around, like what's real in today's world and relevant?
What's real in today's world? Like what would I give my kids
Yeah,
advice?
somebody in a, well, not just your kids, but somebody in a maybe a more similar spot to you were when you were starting your real career path.
Put yourself in uncomfortable situations,
Ah,
right? I think about the biggest growth moments that I've ever had in my life is I forced myself to
yeah,
do something that was uncomfortable to me.
yeah, yeah,
I think about the example we used earlier about, the rafting, where I was terrified
Sure.
to swim rapids, but I ended up committing and agreeing to throwing myself out of the boat on purpose to swim through rapids for 3 months straight to
Yep.
get past that.
yep,
We talked a little bit about the employee appreciation dinner and the speaker,
sure,
right? I had a bucket list item to get a standing ovation. And so what we used to do is we used to bring in a speaker from the outside to come in and speak to the employees.
sure,
And one year I was sitting there thinking, I was like, well, this person just spoke, but the only person that's gathering any value out of this is the CEO of our company, because this was the president of a
Over that
manufacturer, right? And so I committed. I said, hey, I'm doing the speech next year. I have a story to tell. And I worked toward it. And we're leading up to it. And I almost bailed out. And thank goodness Justin Salisbury called me and said, dude, don't do this.
can do this.
Commit. Thank goodness he talked me off that cliff. And I went in and I was so nervous. I was so intimidated about doing this. It's an uncomfortable situation. But I ended up
very vulnerable too, right?
Yeah, and I gave a 20-minute speech, and everybody stood up. And the CEO
Wow.
of the company, John, came over and goes, "Man, you nailed it." And I was like, "Thank you, John." I mean, John doesn't give us a lot of advice. Like, you did good, a whole
I've
lot.
met
But
John before,
hearing that
actually.
from,
yeah,
I was like, "That's amazing." Those were two extremely uncomfortable situations that I had to throw myself into, but they were the biggest growth moments.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
and when I hear people say, "No, I don't want to do it. I'm scared," I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, well, prepare, and then just move forward." You may, it's like going through a rapid, right? You may be scared about going through the rapid, but let's coach you up. Here's the line.
Yeah,
You go
yeah.
this line. If you end up flipping upside down your kayak and end up swimming, guess what? I'm going to be at the bottom, and I'm going to save you. We're going to pull you out, but we're going
Yeah.
to keep telling you to do it until
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get through it. And then when you get through it, it's like muscle memory, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say put yourself in uncomfortable situations and work through it, because that is going to be your biggest growth moments
Key
in
to
your
growth.
life. Yeah.
Reflecting, like I felt totally underqualified to be on a nonprofit board the first time I was, and that was a huge season of growth. And also, ironically, yesterday my blog came out, and the picture was a person standing in their comfort zone, a circle, and then over here is where growth occurs.
Yeah.
And it's basically exactly what you just said. Like, I've been resonating on that same thought.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So.
it's, you want to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put yourself out there.
I dig it. So the closing segment is our Loco experience, your craziest experience.
This episode is sponsored by Loco Think Tank. Loco Think Tank provides peer collaboration for business owners. We build smart, safe places to help business leaders navigate every stage of the business journey, and we love what we do and who we do it with. Our model features give-back-minded business veterans in the role of Loco facilitators, and we're always looking for abundance-minded individuals to add to our membership, facilitator team, Loco community, or to feature on this podcast. Listeners of this podcast who go on to become members of Loco Think Tank get their 6th month of membership for free. Just mention the Loco Experience podcast on your application. To learn more, visit our website at locothinktank.com. That's LOCO thinktank.com.
Like, is it that infection thing, or is there another experience that you wanted to share?
The craziest experience that I've ever done in my life. I mean, the infection piece.
Sure.
That was pretty crazy thing that
But that
happened
was like a
to me.
slow rolling kind of thing in some ways and whatever.
Okay. So the craziest thing I've ever done in my life is I spent 17 days rowing a raft down the Grand Canyon.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And if you're in the whitewater world,
Yeah.
there's a saying that says, which side of lava falls are you on? And what that means is Lava Falls is the biggest rapid in the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
And if you're on the opposite side of it, means you've never done the Grand Canyon. But if you're on
Okay.
the north side of it, it means you've done the Grand Canyon. This trip, we spent 17 days in 2017 with 17 people going down and going down
And
the river.
were you being paid, or you were exploring?
I was the guide. I was
Okay.
the guide. So I was rowing a raft.
Okay.
Now the rapids in the Grand Canyon, they're on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, instead of the 5 that we have.
Right. And so, but the biggest one is Lava Falls. And so going into this trip, it was extremely nerve-wracking for me because I am dealing with something, an issue in my neck.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, then I could get severely hurt.
So this is like after you've recovered some from your situation?
Yeah, this is after.
Years after.
Yeah, this is
Right.
years after. So I had to prepare for it, and I had to condition myself to do it. And the rapids in there were crazy nuts big, right? It was nuts. But in the back of my head, I was always very intimidated about it because I had an issue that I had to deal with, that if something went wrong, I could easily get hurt. And the trip ended up being beautiful. None of the rafts flipped. We had 2 people that swam the whole time. It was 2 kayakers, but that was it.
Okay.
So for the most part, it was a successful trip. The beauty about this trip is like a lot of us didn't know each other, but we ended up being a tribe. Like as we went down the river, we got tighter and tighter
Yeah.
and tighter and tighter and tighter. And every single day we woke up and there was a brand new adventure. Like even the last day, I was like, this is the last day. There's nothing cool going to happen. Well, I ended up falling asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was a ring-tailed cat that was like sleeping next to me. And I was like, oh, what is it? Oh, all right, we'll hang out.
That's cool.
So I ended up, bunking with a
Yeah.
ring-tailed cat the last night. But it was a crazy trip, but the most important thing that happened to me on that trip was, I forget what day it was. It had to have been day 9 or something. I had this feeling in the back of my head up until this point in my life, up until this defining point in my life, that this neck injury that happened to me was like a disability. So
Right.
I treated it like a disability.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this because this is a disability. And I was always concerned about it. So we got to this beach and we were unloading all of our stuff, and we got set up camp. And my best friend Chad was on the trip. He was the doctor on the trip, right? And because he has a medical background. And I said, hey man, where is this? I'm looking for this, and we needed it for camp. And he said, well, it's in my rocket box next to my seat. So I walked over and I opened up the rocket box, and there was a neck brace at the very top of the rocket box. It was a neck brace right at the top. And I looked at it, and it was like front and center, right? It was like,
Yeah.
this is
right
the
there.
most important thing. And Chad, he's like, he's my best friend, Wade, I got him. This is a priority for me. If anything happens, I got him. And I lost it. Like, I completely lost it. I ended up crying. I swear it had to have been an hour straight. And people were walking by, and they were like, is Wade okay? Is Wade okay? And because I was just crying, and it was just years, and it was just years and years and years of buildup of this issue. It's like, why? I always thought, why did this random medical thing that could have easily, killed me or even, severed my spinal cord, why did it just randomly happen to me? And for years, I had this mindset of it being like a disability, and it was going to pull me
this burden
backwards.
kinda thing.
This is pulling me backwards. It's pulling me backwards. It's pulling me backwards. And in that moment, I I just let everything out for an hour, right?
Yeah.
And then when I got done, I remember standing up thinking, I've got people that care for me. I got other people that care for me. They're watching out for me. We're all doing this together. We're a tribe of people. We're going down the river. This is a safe environment. I have a system. You know what I mean? We
know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing. We've prepared for this. Everything's going to be fine, and it's going to be fine for you for the rest of your life. So quit thinking about this major injury that happened to you as a disability, but think of it as an opportunity and to move past it. And it was that one defining moment that helped me get over all the things that have been pulling me backwards for so long.
Yeah, yeah.
And it completely changed my mindset and my life.
I'm just speculating here, but like, even though your wife stuck with you through those earliest seasons of that injury and stuff, it was holding you back somehow anyway, and it let you guys get closer and stuff too.
It did. Yeah. I mean, there's, even though it was such a sucky thing that happened, there's been so much positive things that's happened around me being able to look at what happened and think about it from a different lens. You know, I can think about it being like, why me my whole entire life, because I was always a very active guy, you know.
Right.
You know, and it, you know, because of the injury, it has prevented me from doing other things. But I mean, it happened, but now I have a different mindset, and I can talk to other people about my experience and, you know, the things that I went through.
Yeah.
You know,
well, and whatever that thing is that's holding them back or
right.
makes them feel is unfair or whatever.
Right. Because when I first moved out here, when that happened to me, I knew two people in town, me and Gretchen.
Yeah.
I moved to a new area away from everything I've ever been used to. And I've been implanted in this new town where I don't know anybody else. And then this major thing happens. I had no support system. And I had to find the support system.
That really drives your community engagement and helping everybody want a place to connect.
Bingo.
If they need help.
Right. And that's why I think, because of that one situation that happened to me, I think that's why I care so much about providing for this community the way that I do.
Yeah. Well, and each of those employees could be just like you in some small way.
Yeah.
Or each of those people, each of those nonprofit organizations.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thanks for reflecting on that.
Sure.
That's a really neat thing.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows how to find Breeze Through Car Wash, but just like breezethroughcarwash.com.
breezethroughcarwash.com.
And
follow us on social. You'll see what we do for the community.
Like, should we find you on LinkedIn so that we can find out when the DILF band is like going to actually have a proper show?
So
or how do we find out? Like, how do my listeners find out how to come to your show when you finally
I know,
bring it out of the garage?
Oh man, I know Kurt will know. I don't know when that's going to come to fruition. Okay. Right. It's one of these things. It's like, we're just hanging out and we're having a good time. We'll play some shows.
Watch the Loco Experience podcast link Instagram station, and we'll share that there for sure.
Yeah. And by the way, I LinkedIn I don't do too much on, but I am on Instagram for sure. That's like my jam. I have to pick like one because it's part of my job. It's like, you know. Yeah.
You got good pictures at Instagram anyway.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you don't have a lot of people commenting, which is like, I appreciate that.
Do you have any questions of me before we wrap this up? By the way, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing that story.
You're welcome. Yeah. I don't have any questions for you. Sorry, I have.
You can ask me anything.
I know.
We'll edit it out if it doesn't make me appear to be smart and.
Well,
benevolent.
no, I mean, I'm just curious about like the podcasting, and but I think I might just ask you questions later on, because that's like a full on like.
It's a real thing for sure. You gotta love it.
Yeah,
but you might enjoy it.
Well, I mean, I hear a lot of people talking about podcasting these days and like how to make it a thing. Steve, our marketing communications coordinator, has been doing it for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
And he's very well versed in it.
Okay.
Even coming down here.
Love to meet him sometime.
Oh yeah, it would be good for you to meet him. He's
Yeah.
he's on Geekcast.net.
A real proper pro, like
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
kind
like-
of a winging it kind of guy.
No, you're doing well right here. I would love to pick your brain sometime about how this all works, and even if it's something I never do, I just still like to understand how everything works.
Yeah,
For
sure.
But we'll connect at another time
You
about
can buy
that.
me lunch, and
Right,
I'll
right.
give you the full tour.
Right, I owe you because last time
Programs and everything.
you bought last time.
I did.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Godspeed.
Yeah.
And Douglas Wade Keith.
There you
I'll
go.
see you next time.
Yeah, thanks,
All right.
man.
Cheers,
Appreciate
sir.
you.